when British food was strange and absolutely brilliant. If you grew up in Britain during the 1970 seconds, you'll remember a time when food didn't have to be perfect to be loved. Meals weren't artisanal, they weren't healthy, and they definitely weren't sophisticated. They were simply British. Weird textures, neon colours, puddings from packets, and dinners assembled from tins, freezer boxes, and whatever your nan kept at the very back of the cupboard. Food in the 70 seconds wasn't about Instagram moments. It was about getting something warm on a plate, filling hungry kids quickly, cheaply, and without fuss. But somehow, those strange little dishes, the ones that never quite made sense, carved themselves permanently into our memories. Tonight, we're taking a warm, nostalgic trip back through 15 truly iconic British foods from the 1970 seconds. Foods that shaped childhoods, foods that defined tea times, foods that you can almost still taste if you close your eyes long enough. If just one of these takes you back, settle in, take a sip of something warm, and let the memories roll. 1. Arctic roll frozen luxury on a shoestring. There were few moments more exciting in a 1970 seconds household than when your mum pulled an Arctic roll out of the freezer. A simple combination: vanilla ice cream, a swirl of jam, and a soft sponge cake wrapped neatly around the outside, but my goodness, it felt like proper dessert. It lived in the freezer next to the peas, the fish fingers, and that mysterious block of something nobody ever admitted buying. Yet, when the roll came out on a Sunday afternoon, it felt special, as if the family had suddenly stepped into a posher world. The slices were always uneven. Someone got a majestic, thick spiral of jam and sponge, while someone else wound up with a sad, thin slice barely holding together. The sponge always thawed faster than the ice cream, so by the time you reached the end of your slice, you were face to face with a cold, melting mess. But that was the charm. You never just ate Arctic roll. You watched it soften, you timed each bite, and you cherished every sweet, slightly soggy mouthful. It wasn't perfect. It was British, and that made it unforgettable. 2. Angel Delight, the powdered pudding that defined a decade. Ah, Angel Delight, the magical pudding that transformed from powder into creamy fluff in just a few frantic seconds of whisking. If there was ever a dessert that captured the spirit of 70 seconds Britain, this was it. You didn't need skill. You didn't need ingredients. All you needed was a packet, some milk, and the arm strength of a determined parent. The result? A wobbling, airy, slightly artificial cloud that tasted like pure happiness. Banana flavour that didn't taste like bananas. Strawberry that definitely wasn't strawberry. Butterscotch that was so sweet you could feel your teeth buzzing. Yet somehow, every bowl tasted like home. It arrived in glass dishes, chilled just enough, usually with a bit of skin forming on top if it had been in the fridge too long. And if your mum sprinkled a crushed flake or hundreds and thousands on top, well, that was luxury. Angel Delight wasn't mousse. It wasn't custard. It was a category entirely its own, the dessert equivalent of a warm hug on a rainy Tuesday. 3. Smash, the instant mash the Martians mocked us for. Before convenience food ruled the world, there was Smash instant mashed potato in powdered form, accompanied by adverts featuring robotic Martians laughing at humans who still peeled potatoes by hand. Those ads became legendary, and they worked. Suddenly, everyone wanted to try Smash. You poured boiling water onto the granules, stirred like mad, and hoped for the best. The lumps never fully dissolved. The texture was never quite right. It never tasted remotely like actual mashed potato, but none of that mattered. Smash had its own identity. Slightly salty, slightly powdery, completely comforting. It was the taste of school night teas, quick dinners before the telly, and plates piled high next to sausages or fish fingers. And even though we all knew it wasn't real mash, well, it still tasted like childhood. 4. Finder's Crispy Pancakes. Lava inside, crunch outside. Crispy on the outside. Scalding lava on the inside. Still partly frozen in the middle if your oven was anything like ours. Finder's Crispy Pancakes were the ultimate gamble. You never quite knew if you were about to burn your tongue or bite into a cold, icy centre, but either way, you were committed. Available in fillings like minced beef, chicken curry, or ham and cheese. The mystery wasn't just the flavour, it was what exactly lived inside. But no matter the filling, the golden breadcrumb coating was the real star. You could smell them as soon as they hit the grill pan, that unmistakable scent of processed brilliance drifting through the house. If the edges burned a little, even better. A weeknight treat, a small act of rebellion, and an unforgettable part of growing up British. 5. Vesta Chow Mein exotic food, British style. Before Chinese takeaways became mainstream in Britain, there was the cardboard box wonder known as Vesta Chow Mein, Britain's first attempt at making international cuisine, sort of. You open the box to find dried noodles in one pouch, a powdered sauce mix in another, and instructions that felt more like a school science experiment. Rehydrate this, fry that, mix, hope. The end result? A salty, crunchy, slightly sweet bowl of Chinese-ish food that somehow tasted brilliant, or at least fascinating to 1,970 seconds palates. Tiny dehydrated vegetables sprang awkwardly back to life. The crispy noodles added crunch. The sauce was unlike anything you'd had before. It didn't taste like authentic chow mein, but Britain didn't care. For a brief, glorious moment, Vesta made us feel adventurous, like world travellers without leaving the kitchen. 6. Heinz toast toppers, tinned lunch for the truly fearless. Lunch on toast. From a tin, with flavours like mushroom, ham and cheese, or quite unbelievably prawn cocktail. Only in Britain, Heinz toast toppers were beloved, feared, and mocked in equal measure. A thick, savoury paste that turned a humble slice of white bread into something that resembled a meal if you didn't look too closely. The texture was questionable. The flavour was oddly addictive. You'd spread it, grill it, watch it bubble like molten lava, and then race to eat it before the toast collapsed into soggy submission. It was convenient. It was cheap. It was slightly reckless. And yet, millions of us loved it. 7. Spotted Dick, the school pudding with the funniest name. Say the name today and people still snigger, just like they did in school canteens across Britain in the 70 seconds. But behind the giggles, Spotted Dick was a pudding powerhouse. Dense, warm, comforting, and always served in slabs that could probably stop a moving vehicle. It arrived steaming, heavy, flecked with little bursts of dried fruit, the spots. And then came the custard. Thick, yellow, poured generously from metal jugs that rattled across canteen tables. Half the joy came from drowning the pudding until it nearly floated. No one ate Spotted Dick delicately. You tackled it, one forkful at a time, custard dripping, cheeks pink from the warmth. It wasn't fancy, it wasn't light, but it hit the spot every single time. And despite decades of jokes, no one ever left a single crumb behind. 8. Pork dripping on toast, a working class classic. Long before avocado toast became fashionable, Britain already had its own powerhouse version, pork dripping on toast. Pure thrift, pure flavour, pure satisfaction. After a Sunday roast, the leftover fat from the pork joint wasn't thrown away. It was poured into a jar, allowed to set, and then brought out on Monday morning. You'd spread it thickly across a slice of soft white bread, sprinkle a bit of salt, and maybe, if you were brave, scrape some of the jelly from the bottom of the jar. It was rich, it was greasy, it was salty, and it tasted like heaven. No packaging, no brand names, just proper British fuel to start the day. For millions of families, it wasn't a treat, it was tradition. A small reminder that the best foods didn't always come from shops. They came from leftovers. 9. Blancmange, the wobbly wonder of British parties. Blancmange was jelly's odd cousin, wobblier, milkier, and always slightly suspicious, yet somehow completely essential to every children's party in the 1,970 seconds. It came in colours nature never intended: pale pink, soft green, sometimes a strange peach that didn't exist in the natural world. But the magic was in the moulds. Rabbits, castles, crowns, blancmange was shaped into anything that would wobble dramatically when placed on the table. It jiggled when touched. It jiggled when untouched. It jiggled even when someone across the room sneezed. And yet, it tasted like celebration. Cool, sweet, and devoured quickly, usually in 3 enthusiastic spoonfuls before running back outside to play. It wasn't refined, it wasn't gourmet, but it was childhood, pure and simple. 10. Battenberg Cake, the pink and yellow crown jewel. When your nan brought out a Battenberg cake, you knew you were in for something special. That beautiful pink and yellow checkerboard, lovingly wrapped in a tight layer of marzipan, carried a quiet dignity. It was tea time royalty. Every slice felt like ceremony. You'd carefully cut through the marzipan, inhaling that almond sweetness, then admire the perfect squares inside unless the slicing wasn't perfect, and you ended up with more yellow than pink. A small tragedy. You didn't eat Battenberg casually. You placed it on a plate. You poured a cuppa. You savoured every bite like you were sitting at a Buckingham Palace garden party. Whether it came fresh from a bakery or pre-wrapped in a supermarket tray, Battenberg always delivered one thing: a moment of quiet British elegance. 11. Tinned ravioli, Italy, as interpreted by Britain. Before Britons had ever heard of fresh pasta, there was tinned ravioli, the soft, squishy little pillows floating in a sauce that tasted nothing like Italy, but everything like a warm school night tea. You'd open the tin, hear that satisfying plop as the pasta slid out, and heat it in a saucepan until it bubbled. The ravioli was soft, slightly chewy, and the sauce was suspiciously sweet, but when it hit the bowl, it just felt right. Comforting, filling, a tiny act of independence for kids who felt grown up making their own dinner. Served with a slice of white bread to mop up the sauce, tinned ravioli was British cuisine trying its best to be international and succeeding in the most wonderfully British way. 12. Butterscotch tart, the school pudding that lived in our dreams. If you went to school in the 1970 seconds, you already know butterscotch tart wasn't just pudding, it was legend. Served on beige plastic trays, often alongside a jug of thick, lumpy custard, butterscotch tart was the one dish that united the entire lunch hall. Its glossy, golden surface glistened like varnished wood. The filling was impossibly smooth, rich and sweet. The short crust base held firm under rivers of custard. The moment it appeared on the trolley, the noise of the lunch hall dropped a full level. Kids lined up a little straighter. And if you were lucky enough to get seconds, that was your entire week made. To this day, adults across Britain still talk about it like they're remembering a first love. 13. Blackcurrant cordial, childhood in a bottle. Sticky, sweet, staining everything it touched. Blackcurrant cordial was the drink that lived in nearly every British kitchen cupboard. The bottle cap never screwed on properly, the label always peeled off from sticky hands, and diluting it was a complete guessing game. Too strong? Too weak? Doesn't matter, you drank it anyway. It stained lips, jumpers and tablecloths. It was the reward after playing outside, the drink that sat next to your toast at tea time, the quick fix when friends came over. Sometimes you mixed it with lemonade to feel fancy. Sometimes you drank it neat on a dare. No matter how you had it, blackcurrant cordial tasted like pure childhood. 14. Gala pie, the star of every buffet table. Part pork pie, part hard-boiled egg, gala pie was a masterpiece of British buffet engineering. Picture it: golden pastry, a thick pink layer of seasoned pork, a perfect ring of white, a bright yellow yolk in the middle, every slice looking like a cross-sectional diagram from a food lover's textbook. It arrived at garden parties, family gatherings, picnics, christenings, wakes, you name it. Gala pie was there. Served cold, never warm, and always with a little jelly layer. Nobody admitted liking, but everyone respectfully kept. You didn't sit down with gala pie. You stood in a noisy kitchen, fork in hand, picking at a slice while conversations buzzed around you. And it never, ever disappointed. 15. Instant whip dessert, ready in moments. For families who didn't have the time or patience for angel delight, there was instant whip, the pudding that promised sweetness in under a minute. Sachet, milk, whisk, done. It whipped into a fluffy, sugary cloud that tasted vaguely of whatever flavour was printed on the front. Strawberry, chocolate, banana, though honestly, they all tasted pretty similar. Always served slightly too cold, scoop marks visible from the whisk, and eaten in about 3 spoonfuls flat. Instant whip was the perfect example of 70 seconds convenience food. Quick, sweet, simple, and absolutely brilliant. When food was simple, strange, and wonderful, and there we have it. 15 unforgettable British foods from the 1970 seconds. They weren't healthy, they weren't elegant, they weren't gourmet, but they were ours. They filled our plates, filled our memories, and shaped the flavours of an entire generation. Today, we chase perfection, perfect ingredients, perfect presentation, perfect recipes. But sometimes, a taste of the past reminds us that the best foods didn't have to be perfect at all. If this stroll down memory lane brought back even one flavour, one smell, or one family moment, leave a comment, share your favourite, and subscribe for more stories from nostalgic Britain. The past is full of forgotten flavours, and together, we'll bring them back.